How's it going, guys? My name's Oliver. Today I'm going to be giving you a basic 101 sales training. This is not going to be anything that's super complex. It's going to be very easy to understand. And it's basically a way for you guys to maintain control in the meeting and have a very good structured flow to it. It's going to make more sense in a second. I basically drew a whole diagram for you guys. But basically, this is a sales technique that I learned selling door-to-door knocking. And when you sell door-to-door knocking, these people, we call them cold prospects. So they've never heard of you before. They had no interest in buying your service. And my job was to convince them to buy on the spot. And I heavily relied on this sales process, we call it a sales cycle, in order to close my meetings. Not even meetings, just make them pay on the spot within 15 minutes. So when I transferred to this online agency space, I took this exact same sales training, the sales cycle, applied it to my online meetings, and it's amazing how well it worked. Which is why I personally never struggled to close meetings. My conversion rate was very high, and I owe it all to this sales cycle. Today we're going to go through the sales cycle. As I mentioned, I have a little diagram for you guys. We're going to go through every single point. And if you can just fully understand it and make sure you have the structure in your head while you're doing the meeting, I'm telling you, it's going to be so much easier for you to close your prospects and get more clients that way. Okay? It's not enough to just go through a sales presentation, a series of PowerPoints, and then hope the client's going to buy. Okay, it's a bit more complex than that. And today I'm going to be helping you guys with just a simple technique you can implement. And once you do, you're going to be thanking me so much because you're going to see how well it works. All right, so here we are on the sales cycle. I know it seems complicated, but trust me, it is very simple. I'm going to go through every single point, and at the end of the video, you'll fully understand the sales cycle and you'll easily be able to apply it for your own meetings. And it's nothing crazy. Like, I know it looks crazy, but trust me, it's very simple to understand. So let's get started with the sales cycle technique to close more deals for your agency. Okay, so step one, obviously you have to have a meeting that's booked. Okay, if you're struggling with this part, I made a whole video on the cold calling process that I use to close my meetings. It worked very well for me. It worked well for my coaching clients as well. So I'll invite you to watch that video if ever you're struggling with that. Otherwise, I'm going to assume that you're able to close meetings. So once you have a meeting that's booked, this is when the sales cycle will begin. Okay, so what is the sales cycle? It's basically a combination of 4 points that you constantly have to go through. Okay, it's a cycle. So you have to cycle through these 4 points until the client actually buys the service. Okay, so what is the cycle? Number one is identify the need. Okay, so this basically, another way of saying it is, what is the pain point of your client? Common pain points for people with agencies is either the client doesn't have enough time to do the service delivery himself, he doesn't have the experience, so he's not good at it, or the business is just lacking money and they're looking for ways to increase their revenue. Simple as that. Okay, those are common pain points that I've identified while I was doing my meetings, but obviously, like, you will be asking questions to the client to really find out specifically for them what are their major pain points. That is very important. Okay, so once you identify their pain points, let's say it's lack of experience. They're not good at running ads. They're not good at making short form content, like whatever your service delivery is. You have to meet their pain point, meet the need. Okay, how is your service delivery gonna help them overcome their pain points? So as I mentioned, let's use the example lack of experience. Okay, and let's say you're running Google ads. How is your solution gonna help them with a pain point? So now you can explain to them, like, look, we are a very big team. We have multiple media buyers. Combined, we have over a decade of experience. So we really know what we're doing. And then you can show some case studies to really further the fact that you do have the experience and you're able to deliver this service. Okay, so that's how you meet the need. You prove to them that you can overcome their pain point. Afterwards, this is when you're going to go for the close. The close is basically when you ask them, do you want to buy, yes or no? Okay, but you have to be very careful with the way you ask this question. You cannot say, like what I just said, like, do you want to buy, yes or no? Because if the client says no, you're pretty much screwed there, and it's going to be hard for you to advance. Whereas if you ask a question like, were you looking to work with us at the end of this week, or would it be more towards the end of the month? Like something like that. Okay, it's like when you ask the question, you assume that they want to buy the service, but it's more so a question of like, when are you going to buy it? Okay. It's like, I know you're going to buy my service, but do you want to buy it now, or is it more towards the end of the month? Okay. So when you ask questions like that, it kind of limits their answers and they're not really able to give you a no, an objection. Okay. And the close can be absolutely anything. Like, it doesn't have to be at the end of the month or this week. Like, you can ask, were you looking for us to only make you TikToks, or did you want TikToks and Instagram Reels as well? Okay, when you ask questions like that, it's like, I know you want a service. Do you want TikTok services, or do you want Instagram Reel and TikTok services? Okay, so that's how you have to ask for the close. Now, personally, what I've been taught doing door-to-door knocking, and I've always applied this rule, is you want to go through this cycle at least twice before actually going for the first close. Okay, so if we go back real quick, first step, you ask questions to identify their pain points. Let's say it's lack of time. You meet their solution. So you tell them, look, with our service, we'll take care of everything from A to Z. So you don't even have to worry about this part of the business. It's going to be taken care of by our people. Boom, you just met their need. Afterwards, avoid the close. They're probably going to give you an objection. Okay? Objection might be, it's the wrong time, it's too expensive, I have to talk about it with my wife, the tooth fairy, whatever. They're going to give you some random excuse, and this is when you're going to be handling the objections. Okay? And once you handle the objection, it's very important. Many people do this. After, let's say they say it's too expensive, you give them an answer, right away they're going to go for the close. They're going to be like, okay, so do you want a service? Like, it doesn't work like that, because you just ended off on kind of like a negative note, which was it's too expensive. You answered the question yes, and then right away you're asking them, okay, do you want to work with us? It's not good. You want to transition to more like a positive topic. Okay, and how do you do that? Is by going back to the cycle and identifying a second need. Okay, so first need, we said it would be lack of time, and then you handle the objection, and then you say, you also mentioned that you were looking for different ways to increase your revenue in your business, right? And they'll be like, yeah, it's true. Like, we have been struggling lately. Great. Well, with our offer, we basically guarantee you X amount of money per month, like whatever. Like, depending on your service delivery, you will say what you have to say, but you basically have to overcome a second pain point in their business. Okay. And once you overcame those, then you can go for the first close. That's normally when I would ask a question like, okay, so were you looking for us to build your landing page as well, or was it just the management of the Google ads that you wanted? You know, something like that. So as you can see, it's not very complicated. Here I wrote the word ART, so ART. You might be wondering, what is that? This is a specific way that you will handle objections. Okay. A stands for acknowledge. R is respond. T, transition. So let's say the client says, your service is too expensive. So you would acknowledge it. You'd say like, yes, sir, I understand like $2,000 per month might seem expensive. And then you respond. So you might say something like, basically with the guarantee that we're offering, you're basically guaranteed to make your money back on your initial investment. As I mentioned, we guarantee you a minimum of 50 new clients every month. And you told me, right, that an average ticket price for your clients is about $300. Is that true? And then it'll say like, yes. Well, if we do the quick maths, 300 times 15 new clients, that's about 4,500 per month. So as you can see, your initial investment of $2,000 per month with us does not seem that big when we actually deliver our results. And the best part is that if we don't deliver on our results, you don't even pay for our services. So you basically only pay once we make you a very big profit margin. Seems good? You know, something like that. And after that, you would go to point T, which is transition. So I would transition to a different pain point. And once you transition to the second pain point, you would go through the cycle once again. Okay, so very simple. It's basically just a way of structuring the conversation. Okay, I know it can seem kind of confusing when you're having a conversation with a client. You're nervous, you want them to buy, you want to sound convincing, and sometimes you can kind of get lost in your trail of thought. So if you can remember this cycle as you're presenting, it can be very helpful. So let's go through the entire cycle one time as if I'm selling a presentation to a client, okay? So we just booked the meeting, we made small talk. I'll be like, okay, sir, you did mention over the phone that you basically didn't have enough time to run the ads for yourself. Is that correct? And they'll be like, yes. And you want them to say yes. That's very important too. Okay, you ask questions for them to say yes. Because psychologically, when they say yes, it kind of puts them in a good mood to say yes. And at the end, the goal is for them to say yes on your service. You want them to buy the service. So the more yeses they say, the better it is for you, okay? So you mentioned that you had lack of time. Is that correct? They'll be like, yes. Well, great. Basically, we have a full team that are going to be managing your ads from A to Z. So they'll be doing the landing page, the Google campaign itself. So you don't even have to lay eyes on the ads, and we'll take care of everything for you. And after you gave them a solution to their pain point, they're probably going to say something like, okay, well, do I have to provide the landing page for you? Are you going to make it for us? Like, whatever. They're going to say something. You use the ART method. You acknowledge it. So you say, that's correct, sir. And then you respond. You give them an answer. And then you transition to the second pain point, which might be lack of experience. They don't have enough training. They don't know what they're doing. So now, I would say you did mention, sir, that you didn't really have the time to learn how to run ads for yourself. Is that correct? They'll be like, yes. Well, that's perfect because our team, they basically have over a decade of experience in running ads. And as you can see from the case studies that I sent you, we are more than able to deliver on our promises. And then you go for the close. And then you say, were you looking to start working with us this week? Or was it something that you would have to, I don't know, think about it or work with us at the end of the month? Like something like that. Okay, you would ask a question where you assume they're going to buy your service. And yeah, after you go for the close, that's when you basically get an answer if they're going to become a client or not. Basically, for me, my rule is I go through 3 sales cycles. And if after 3, I can still see they're really not interested and it's not something that they're really looking to move forward with, that's when I'm going to end the call, end the meeting, and just say like, okay, well, if ever you change your mind, like you have my information, you can contact us and stuff like that, okay? But those are the main pain points that you really have to double down in your meetings. You want to remind them why they took the call. It's because they don't have the experience, they don't have the time, and they're lacking money. Okay. Number 3 is always a good pain point to start with. Every business, what's the main point of a business? To make money. So if you can help them make money, well, that's if you are running marketing services, even if you're doing content creation. Okay. When you make content creation, you're getting their brand, their name out there, which leads to more clients, which leads to more money. Okay. So basic pain point that you guys can always start with is how can you make the business more money? But yeah, that is the sales cycle. As you can see, nothing too complex. It's very simple. This is why I personally didn't even need a PowerPoint slide when I was doing my sale presentations. All I would do is show my case studies of the previous results that I brought from my previous clients. Otherwise, I just follow this exact cycle. I'd ask them questions. So you did mention you didn't have enough time to run the ads for yourself. Is that correct? They'll be like, yeah. I explain why I can fix that problem for them. And then I go for the close. And I repeated that a couple of times. I went through the cycle a couple of times until they said yes. Okay, so basic sale training, 101, nothing too complex. Rewatch the video to really fully understand how this cycle works, especially before your meeting, okay? So once you book your first meeting, come back to this video, watch it, and make sure you really follow the cycle when you're having the conversation with the client. And I'm telling you, if you can implement this, it's going to be a lot easier for you to get clients for your agency. So that's me all for today's video. I hope this was helpful, and see you on the next one.